I couldn't present our organization, so I'll just quickly say a few words about it. We have been found about more than 10 years ago. Currently, we're an association with more than 40 members. We have consultancy, engineering companies. We have research organization, higher education institute. But the core strength of our organization is green energy. We have over 70 megawatts of green energy in the overall mix. Our mission is to work towards full use of renewables on a regional and national level. Currently, we are working on another project that is for the installation of electric vehicle charging stations on both Bulgarian and Greek sites, 25 charging stations on both sides. Recently, we finished a project called the identification and monitoring of contaminated soils, which is relevant to the topic of agriculture. We became members of Enterprise Europe Network, which is the biggest network for small and medium enterprises in Europe. So this is quickly for our organizations. Now, on the topic of circular economy in Bulgaria. What we have found out is that circular economy is a very novel topic in Bulgaria. So it's in the very early stages of its development. In fact, the overwhelming majority of private businesses are just not familiar with the concept. Usually the ones that are familiar with the concept of circular economy and also other green practices, companies that have been found with the idea to be pioneers in green technology. I'll talk more about them later on. So circular economy presents a unique opportunity for the business to transition to green energy and transform out of the current economic business model. Next, the global challenge for the three biggest global challenges for the agri-food sector are securing food for a growing population, providing income for the farmers, and protecting the environment. What the recent COVID pandemic and the recent outbreak of war in Ukraine showed us that our supply chains are actually quite vulnerable. As probably a lot of you know, a third of wheat, corn, and fertilizers in the world come from Russia and Ukraine, and especially vulnerable to this disruption of the supply chain are countries in Africa, which are already the most vulnerable to food shortages. Another aspect is protecting the environment. Just a few days ago, we had news that a few thousand cows in the American state of Kansas died due to the drought. So protecting the environment and securing food go hand in hand. And providing income to farmers, that's important because you need to provide income so that they can implement innovation and have better food security. So balancing all three challenges is a challenging task, and especially when the environment protection is considered. Next, let's talk a bit about the environmental imprint of food. So according to statistics, food accounts for over a quarter of global greenhouse gas emissions. 40% of world's habitable land is used for agriculture. 70% of global freshwater withdrawals are used for agriculture. 78% of global ocean and freshwater eutrophication due to pollution of waterways with nutrient-rich pollutants is caused by agriculture. So we have the agriculture, which is just 1 to 2% of the developed countries' GDP, but it accounts for such an intense use of the available resources. So, and food is such a critical resource. So it's imperative to put a lot more resources and efforts in making food more sustainable. So the biggest culprit when it comes to greenhouse gas from the agricultural sector is livestock and fisheries, especially cows, due to methane caused by digestion and management of manure. The other problems are the crop production and land use. Especially problematic is land use change. When it comes to Bulgaria and Greece, we see that in Bulgaria around 550 kilograms of greenhouse gas CO2 equivalent per person per year is produced. It's about twice in Greece. The reason is that the reason it's so low in Bulgaria is because Bulgaria has very few cows and there isn't much land use going on. But basically 73% of greenhouse gas emissions come from animal products, especially dairy and meat from cows. And plant-based results in only 70% of greenhouse gas emissions. Most of the difference between countries come from how much meat and dairy they eat. Again, around 25% come from dairy and 56% come from meat and eggs. Now let's talk a bit about eco-innovation in Bulgaria. So there is a very important structural difference in Bulgaria. Bulgarian agricultural companies are usually small family businesses with 5 to 10 employees, rarely 20. And as a colleague before me have noticed that there is a correlation between company size and revenue and adoption of circular economy and other green practices. So this is particularly a problem in Bulgaria, where due to the small size of the companies, they have small margin and they can't, it's actually economically impossible for them to invest out of their own money into innovation and green technologies. So such innovation should aim to fill in the structural gaps. It has to promote the integration of science and innovation in the business. It has to support the SMEs in the transition with policy and capital, to formulate clear policy on government level, to include circular economy and promotion of the concepts of circular economy. This is also something that has to be worked on, because as the next as I'll cover more a bit later, but most people actually are simply not familiar with circular economy and green technologies. Now, let me give you a few specific examples from Bulgaria on innovative companies. First, we have Biomic. So Biomic is a company that pioneers in biodegradable packaging. The company offers packages fully compliant with the principles of circular economy and with circular economy. And one of the technologies that Biomic is using is transforming waste from agro production. This is done by using biodegradable alternatives to styrofoam, using agricultural residue and the root structure of mushrooms as a binder. Well, what they use it for is for disposable utensils in restaurants, in the beverage industry for transportation. The packaging is also used for electronics, machinery, and cosmetics. Once discarded, the packaging is recovered. And it is completable, degradable, turning into manure, and we can even compost it ourselves. So that's a good thing they are doing. The next one. Next one, we have Asecamo, which in Bulgarian means an insect. It's the first biotechnology company in Bulgaria to produce food from black soldier fly. The final products are insect protein, oil, and fertilizers for the feed and the agriculture industries. So the team of Asecamo found a successful solution how from organic food waste using a natural mechanism to produce food again. For the moment, the insect product is a concentrated protein suitable for feeding on aquatic crops and pets. The fertilizer can be used in agriculture, is made from black soldier fly larvae, casting, and food fibers. So it is a perfect choice for soil nutrition and remediation, rich in organic matter, essential minerals, and chitin. The fertilizer contributes to healthy crops and strengthens the natural defense of plants. Next one, we have the Blackgig Restaurant. This is a restaurant that it functions as a regular restaurant. You can order on-site or delivery. Takeaway orders come in reusable boxes. Patrons can also bring their own container for the delivery. The menu has several courses, always a salad, 1 or 2 main dishes, and a dessert. Every time a fresh prepared on same day. Whatever is not recovered goes to the metal bins for separate collection. The rest of the food waste, including meat and dairy, goes to the nearby composter, which with detailed instruction on how to dispose of organic waste. The size of the composting station is large, so there is more time until the compartment is filled. The result of the compost, after careful stirring and constant replenishment, is a natural soil that is used to fertilize the garden nearby. And finally, we have Harmonica. Harmonica began in 2006 when 3 friends started working with the first 2 organic cow farms in Bulgaria. They had no idea how to manage business. They just wanted to offer their families real foods. At that time, there were mostly low quality foods imitation in the store to the expense of quality, the environment and health. The idea for organic farming in Bulgaria was completely unknown at that time. So with the support for that was non-existent. Harmonica started with organic yogurt, which gave some initial hope and confidence that they can change things towards more environment sustainable future. In their work, the founders found that agriculture and food production are at the epicenter of the big environmental problems such as climate change facing our generation, also loss of biodiversity and pollution. What they did is that one of the projects that they founded is to use the more thing that they do is that they started creating breads they used bread from the shops that was about to be thrown in order to create liquid bread, which is craft beer, which is sold in 3 options. So the idea was out of nothing, something. So instead of wasting the bread, they started creating beer from it. So these 4 companies are interesting examples of how people with desire to change things for the better can start from nothing and create something very innovative, something new, something more ecologically friendly. Okay, so now on the survey that we've done on our site, we conducted similar survey as you. We managed to gather information from around 150 companies and analyze their responses. So what we found, when it comes to has your company adopted integrated green practices and technologies, we found that only 30% have done so, have answered that they done so. Most haven't done it. Actually, a third of them answered that they didn't know which practices and technologies are considered green. So I've already mentioned that there is very, very little awareness, not only about circular economy, but green practices in general in Bulgaria. Yes, again, 7% said that they have adopted circular economy into their operation, and 50% said that they don't know which are considered circular economy. Only 7% said that 10% have said that they have relevant concepts, so circular economy was explicitly mentioned as part of their strategic priorities. does your company assess? Only 6% said that their company assesses their environmental impact, and only 1% said that related training is offered within their company. And I would say that probably these results are biased due to selection bias, because the companies that have answered this survey are probably the ones that are already lectured on the topic they are doing in these directions, and also the ones that are more active online, which we could get in touch with. But I would say, in my opinion, these 1%, 6%, 10%, 7% are actually an exaggeration, and the actual percent of companies that are doing something in this direction is actually smaller, probably 1 to 3%. Okay, I want to mention that we, as part of the project, Renewable Energy Cluster has developed a simple water footprint and CO2 calculator. You can find it on our webpage, where you can input, if you're an agricultural company, you can input data such as how much fuel do you use for heating, for transportation, or what's your energy bill, or especially important, as we already discussed, is that how many heads of cattle do you have, especially cows, which are one of the major culprits when it comes to CO2. Next, recommendations for the agri-food sector in Bulgaria. So long-term and objectives related to circular economy should be achieved through initiatives to promote products' longer lifespan, their use, repair, or recycling. And how do we achieve this? Like, in our opinion, it's economic incentives. And here the emphasis is on economic. As one of my Greek colleagues before me mentioned, you need the profit motive in order to pull more people into the whole idea of circular economy. Because in my experience, when I was doing the survey and I was calling business owners, and I would tell them I'm calling from renewable energy source cluster, and they would ask me, oh, how much is to put PV panels on? How much electricity would that save me? What's the return on investment? And so here, apparently, you need to have as I already mentioned, it's mostly small businesses operating on a small margin. So you need to bring that profits motive, the economic incentives. And it doesn't, as seen with the examples of companies that are already doing this, it doesn't have to be a subsidy or a grant. We have to figure out a way to make it profitable, to make the whole thing, all these technologies, innovation, to make them profitable. And I don't think that's that difficult. I mean, there are many examples of that. So probably this is something that this project has to work on, like finding ways to make it profitable, as cynical as it sounds. All right, so that was basically, this is our view on the way, our experience with the project and the survey. So thank you for listening, and thank you.